So I'm Mr. Big Picture, and I'm going to offer you the biggest big picture I can today. The Greenfin Conference and other gatherings like it, it's taking place at a moment when we have the greatest opportunities and the greatest dangers, not just in the last 5,000 years of human history, but in the last 5,000 generations of the human species. And I'd like you to just let that sink in. The greatest opportunities and the greatest dangers in 5,000 generations of the human species. Now, we live with these opportunities and these dangers because we are living under late-stage capitalism, which is a contradictory and inequitable system, as you heard from Andrew and others, that generates unthinkably vast wealth for some people and unthinkably vast harm for other people. And part of the problem is that capitalism now rests on shaky ground. Its theories and its assumptions, its analysis of risk and reward, its systems of measurement, its systems of incentives are all unstable, and they are headed for collapse. And one way to put it is that our fundamental source code has been corrupted, and that's what we need to transform. And the good news is that is being transformed right now already. I think those who see this biggest picture should really feel excited and in a way privileged, because we are at the fulcrum of history. We are at an inflection point, and we can still have an influence over that. So here's where we are. With every passing month, humanity is facing more powerful influences and becoming more powerful itself. The world is more complex, and our dilemmas are becoming more interdependent. And therefore, in many ways, they're more dangerous than ever before. And at the same time, we are being handed new tools that should help us achieve what we want to achieve. So, for example, we have new communication technologies, we have new computational abilities, and for better or worse, we now have the gift or the curse of artificial intelligence. So if we have both new problems and new tools, and if we want to thread the needle in order to make it safely into a just and sustainable 22nd century economy, we're going to have to bring those things together. And that's going to require not just technical skill, but also, in many ways, a moral and political, and in many ways, spiritual wisdom to help us discern what are the things that we want to keep and what are the ideas that we are ready to leave behind. To achieve this, we're going to need all of us to get involved. And that's my main message today, and including a special category of superheroes who are scattered among us, like hidden members of the Justice League, like scattered Avengers, like the painfully misunderstood X-Men and X-Women, whose superpowers create both admiration and fear. And you know the people I'm talking about. You may be sitting next to one of these people. You may be one of them. And I'm referring to that very special A-team, the accountants. Now, accountants are misunderstood, even mocked. They're often portrayed as unsocial, unimaginative, number-crunching ultra-nerds. Did you know that there are whole websites devoted to unfair jokes about accountants? Here's a couple of them. What's the difference between a lawyer and an accountant? The accountant knows that he or she is boring. What do you call an accountant with an opinion? An auditor. And what do accountants use for birth control? Their personalities. That's terrible. It's just terrible. It's really untrue, mostly untrue. But accountants and auditors and assurance are actually, they deserve our deep respect because they perform what's essentially a public service. Their job is to find and document and attest to the truth. And this is more important than ever when so many people seem to think that the pathway to power and to wealth and to moving forward is to distort and deny the truth. So we value what they're doing. Now, when I started the Global Reporting Initiative many years ago, I discovered that accounting standard setters are absolutely not narrow-minded pencil pushers. They are, in some ways, philosopher kings and queens. The question, did I hear that's right from someone? Yeah. The question of how you measure any part of reality in our complex world, how you measure it, how you transform that into measurable units and create formulas and compare data, that's really, in some ways, a philosophical problem. But the best of it, what standard setters do is that when they are, the best that they can do is reach provisional agreement. And that's why in America we use generally accepted accounting principles, which means accepted now, but perhaps altered in the future. And those work for a while, but it's inevitable that over time problems arise, new financial ideas arise, new practices are invented, and the older concepts stop working so well, and they have to change. And that is exactly what's happening now. Under the pressures of global financialization, boundaries and definitions are breaking down, and it's becoming nearly impossible, for example, to define an asset in the age of intangibles. And accounting complexities such as revenue recognition, lease accounting, fair value measurement of derivatives, goodwill impairment, hedging, transfer pricing, data security, and cryptocurrencies are all requiring a fundamental rethinking of how to measure value. And now, in large part because of the prior blindness of our past accounting systems, which stubbornly ignored or mispriced externalities such as climate change, for decades we are being confronted by global ecological and sustainability crises, which the world is trying to drag itself out of by having major public agreements, like the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals. And as a result, accounting standard setters are being asked to incorporate sustainability into their calculations, which means that accounting, these superheroes, must figure out how to incorporate into their thinking the lessons and challenges of dozens of other complex fields: physics, chemistry, human rights, biology, hydrology, epidemiology. All of those now become part of the risk and the analysis of the future. Now, as many of you know, the accounting standards world is fundamentally committed to two basic approaches to the questions of financial materiality and impact materiality. And as most of you know, when we talk about financial materiality, we're talking about the effect of the system of sustainability problems on the firm. And that is kind of an outside-in perspective, how the outside world affects the firm. And the private, independent, global expert group that has been set up to address these financial materiality standards is, as you know, the International Sustainability Standards Group Board, or ISSB. Impact materiality is the reverse. It asks the question of how do the companies and industries like oil or auto or many others affect sustainability. And as you know, the private, independent, global expert group that is setting impact materiality standards is the Global Reporting Initiative, the GRI. So looking forward, the source code of capitalism is actually being rewritten right now, and we're seeing the coming together of these two parallel systems, essential to the economy of the future. And I urge you, if you're not aware of the work of these two groups, I urge you to become more familiar with it, because just 3 weeks ago, they promised to work together closely to be fully aligned around the question of biodiversity. And that's something that we should applaud. And there's more coming. So we are rewriting the source code of capitalism right now, because we have already entered a new and irreversible phase in the evolution of our global economy and in the evolution of our history. So we now need to move forward. We need to recognize that we have power, we have agency. We have the ability to communicate the meaning and importance of this to others. And we are each positioned to make a difference where we are. And we need to remember that this is the time when we are being called right now to do it. So this is a challenge I wanted to bring to you, that we move forward at this unique moment in rewriting the source code of capitalism and finding our way into that 22nd century. We can. We must. And with your help, we will. Thank you.